A massive building stands as a sign of authority. Inside, a man paces his office, phone pressed to his ear. He holds a lawsuit in one hand, but suddenly flings it across the room in frustration. Boys fight all the time. It's nothing, he snaps. His secretary stiffens, watching him lose his temper. On the other end, Congressman Seo remains calm. I heard you got a warning letter, Mr. Seo remarks. The man on the phone flinches, but quickly regains his composure. Please. My place is crawling with heroes. I even have an electric guy in the building. What could go wrong? It's a strange world they live in, a world where heroes with superpowers face off against villains. With that, he steps into his office and freezes. A man sits inside, relaxed, as if he owns the place. Nice office, the stranger compliments him. The congressman's confidence crumbles. His hands shake, but he forces out a question. Who are you? The man in the teddy bear mask grins. I'm with the executioner. The congressman inches backward. The teddy-masked man raises a hand, and a massive, beastly avatar materializes behind him. It glares down at the trembling politician. The executioner would like to see you. The congressman makes a run for it, but the beast is faster. The congressman groans, his body battered and bleeding. Across from him sits the most feared villain of them all. In one hand, the executioner holds an apple, then crushes it effortlessly in his fist, juice dripping onto the floor. He's pleased. Jay, the teddy-masked goon, did a fine job dragging the politician here. With a flick of his wrist, the executioner tosses a stack of incriminating photos onto the ground. The congressman stares at them, his face draining of color. Bribery, fraud, conspiracy, it's all there. But to the villain, the man is nothing more than noisy bait, a cockroach scurrying where he shouldn't. The realization of who his captor is makes the bound politician melt into pure terror. The executioner rises to his feet, shaking his head. Why do the so-called heroes of this great civilization let filth like you run free? He steps closer, crouches, and gives the congressman a patronizing pat on the shoulder. Don't worry. I'm on your case. Then, flames burst to life around his fists. The air grows thick with heat, as he prepares to turn the man into nothing but ashes, until something interrupts him. A searing beam flies past his head. The executioner dodges effortlessly, barely glancing at the near miss. He smirks cause he already knows who fired it. Men in uniform storm in, barking orders for him to stop. The straps on their sleeves give them away. The executioner doesn't see officers, he sees lackeys, pawns of the council. He steps forward, his aura growing heavier, darker, suffocating. The officers tremble, their fingers twitching on their triggers. Before they can act, a sudden explosion erupts in the room, smoke filling the space. When it clears, the executioner is gone. They think he fled, but things are never that simple. In a flash, the executioner materializes behind one of the officers, gripping the man's face with an ironclad hold. With a roar, he slams the officer into the nearest wall, the impact sending cracks spider-webbing across the surface. The second officer stands frozen, his brain struggling to process what just happened. His partner was down in seconds. How is this monster so fast? The executioner shifts his gaze to the remaining officer, tilting his head slightly. The council is nothing but a bunch of hypocrites, he says casually. Then, in the same breath, he adds, don't worry, your life's not in danger. Comforting words, except they are coming from a man who just turned another officer into wall decor. The officer's knees buckle, and he collapses, fear overtaking his body. But something catches the executioner off guard. The man just called him sir. He blinks, more confused than entertained. That's when a beam smashes into his face, sending him flying. Dust and debris scatter, but within seconds, the executioner is back on his feet, eyes locked onto his attacker. His aura flares, a mixture of rage and intrigue. Across the room, a hero stands with a confident grin, completely unfazed. "How does it feel?" the hero taunts. "Nice to get a taste of your own medicine, huh?" The executioner exhales sharply, recognizing the man immediately. Ihun Kim, chief of security for the Hanyong Kim Heroes facility. His specialty? Air shots fired straight from his fingertips. Not a bad trick. But the executioner isn't impressed. The executioner doesn't flinch. He knows Ihun Kim is a big deal, chief of security and all, but that doesn't impress him. Instead, he smirks. "Wow, the great Ihun Kim, gracing us with his presence," he says, voice dripping with sarcasm. Then he adds, "You're not getting out of this unscathed." Ihun Kim takes it as a challenge, one he's more than happy to accept. He grins, ready for battle. The tension in the room thickens as the two powerhouses lock eyes, both preparing for a fight that will shake the very foundation of the silence. They just stare at each other. Neither moves. The tension drags on for a few painfully awkward seconds. Then Ihun Kim's phone rings. The loud, peculiar ringtone echoes through the room. The two men pause, blinking at each other. The executioner even nods in approval. "Catchy ringtone," he mutters. Ihun Kim shrugs and answers the call, pacing a little as he talks. The executioner, surprisingly patient, waits until his phone rings. And somehow, his ringtone is even weirder. Both men stare at each other again, completely zoning out at how ridiculous this situation has become. Without a word, they each take a few steps away to handle their calls, speaking in urgent tones to whoever's on the other end. Once the calls are done, they return to the battlefield, ready to resume their fight. But now, the executioner sighs, rolling his shoulders. Next time, he promises, before vanishing in a burst of flames. Ihun Kim watches him go, shaking his head. What a weird night. Officer Ihun Kim stands still, staring in the direction where the executioner vanished. It's a shame, really. He was looking forward to a proper fight. Behind him, the bound congressman erupts in rage, demanding the villain be captured and punished, not just for his crimes against society, but for the personal offense of kidnapping him. His voice rises with every word, and the officers from the council scramble to calm him down. Ihun Kim. He's not too concerned. He barely spares the man a glance. The congressman rants on about how he had submitted a special request to the council, yet somehow, this disaster still happened. Frustrated, he finally waves the officers off, demanding they get lost. Ignoring the drama, Ihun Kim notices the scattered papers on the floor. The congressman notices too, and immediately freaks out. His photos. His very incriminating photos. Flustered, he scrambles to gather them, awkwardly thanking the officers between muttered curses and forced gratitude. Ihun Kim doesn't care. He steps past the man, uninterested, until something unusual catches his eye. A piece of paper lies among the rubble, different from the rest. He picks it up, eyes narrowing as he reads the words. A wedding invitation. His grip tightens and his brain refuses to process it. The executioner is getting married. No, it just can't be right, right? Breaking news hits the airwaves. A hero family has saved a kidnapped congressman from the executioner. Cameras zoom in on the crime scene while reporters scramble for details. The journalist turns to the head of the Kim family, eager for an interview. He approaches, phone pressed to his ear, clearly in the middle of a call. Before he can react, reporters swarm him, shoving microphones in his face. He blinks, a little caught off guard, but manages to compose himself. He states the obvious, the executioner's crimes are getting worse. With the explosion of superpowered individuals, crime has escalated. Heroes rose to fight back, forming a council to maintain order, but villains pushed back even harder. And at the top of them all, the executioner. Nobody knows where he came from, but he crushed every major villain, toppled influential heroes, and earned the title of the most terrifying villain of all time. And now, he's targeting regular people. The thought of it makes one hero in the crowd clench his fists. This guy doesn't just get mad, he turns into a monster. Think of it like an on-or-off switch, but for absolute chaos. The journalist thanks the Kim family head for his words. The air suddenly fills with a loud, rumbling noise. Everyone looks up. A helicopter hovers above. The side door slides open, and a woman leans out, waving wildly. "Honey! Get on!" The monster hero doesn't hesitate. He leaps up, grabbing onto the helicopter with one massive hand like it's a jungle gym. The machine tilts slightly, struggling to support his weight. The crowd watches, speechless. What just happened? Hanging onto the helicopter like it's no big deal, the monster hero declares that the Hanyong Kim family and the Council of Heroes will no longer stand by while the executioner wreaks havoc. The crowd erupts in cheers, fully backing the heroes. The helicopter ascends, carrying the hero away. The journalist, still live on air, is urged to keep talking. She clears her throat and continues. Heroes, villains, and now even regular citizens, no one is safe from the executioner. It's a warning to the public, a reminder to stay cautious, but she reassures everyone, as long as the Council of Heroes stands strong, safety is still within reach. Meanwhile, in a completely different setting, the executioner, without his terrifying mask, frantically searches for his tie. He's in full panic mode. He demands to know where it is. Jay, his ever-reliable goon, casually tells him it's in the glove compartment. The executioner breathes a sigh of relief, thanking him. Jay, however, is still stuck on the news broadcast. He's irritated. The journalist called the congressman an ordinary citizen. The nerve, he asks if the boss wants to take care of the guy permanently. The executioner shakes his head. Not now. They'll deal with it later. This entire conversation happens in mere seconds, their car speeding down the road. The executioner finally cools off, tying his tie with precision. Today is important. The most important day. He had big plans. He was supposed to take down those so-called elite heroes, the Hanyong Kim family. But it didn't happen. It's annoying, so very annoying. Jaerim turns his attention to his mask, which is vibrating and rolling around on the seat next to him like it has a mind of its own. He requests a filter replacement. Jay, speaking through comms, assures him it'll be done. Jaerim isn't alone in the car. Well, technically, he is, but the car is self-driving, so it doesn't really count. The system alerts him of an incoming call. He allows it to go through. The voice on the other end is cold. A woman. She doesn't waste time on pleasantries. She asks a single question, one that momentarily stuns him. Where are you? Jaerim quickly recovers, assuring her that he's already at the destination, just parking. He grabs his phone, steps out of the car, and reassures her once more that he won't be late. In each hand, he carries a large bag. He walks with purpose. What's the mission? A dangerous showdown. A villainous plot. A hero takedown. Nope. Our male lead is meeting her family for the first time tonight. And, being the thoughtful man he is, he's brought gifts. A voice rings out, full of excitement. Jaerim. A young woman rushes toward him, eyes sharp with playful scolding. She glares at him, half annoyed, half relieved. I swear if you had been late today. Jaerim remains calm, offering a sincere apology. She huffs but lets it go, grabbing his hand. The two step inside together, letting out quiet breaths of relief. Their hands remain clasped. Tonight has to go well. Jaerim, also known as the executioner, is living a double life. By day, he's a devoted boyfriend, planning a future with the woman he fell for at first sight. By night, he's the most feared villain in existence. The lovebirds reach a door. His girlfriend suddenly pauses, turning to him with a hesitant look. Just so you know, you might be a little surprised when you meet my family. Jaerim chuckles. What? Are they some kind of big shots? He's not too worried. After all, nothing could possibly be more shocking than the massive secret he's hiding. Her response, a vague, kind of. No details, no clarification, just enough mystery to leave him mildly concerned. Hain steps forward, leading the way, and Jaerim follows, still trying to figure out what she meant. Tonight, he was supposed to meet his girlfriend's normal, civilian family. Instead, he steps into a room filled with superpowered individuals. And their immediate reaction. Murderous intent. The air shifts, the pressure in the room skyrockets. Their combined aura is suffocating. Jaerim freezes, yeah, okay. Maybe he should have asked more questions. Hain quickly steps in, waving her hands. All right, let's not terrify my sweet boyfriend, okay? She turns to Jaerim with a bright smile. Babe, meet my family. Jaerim's soul practically leaves his body. Seated at the table. The Hanyong Kim family of heroes. Her dad, her mom, her brother, her uncle, none other than Ihun Kim, the chief of security. And at the head of the table. Their grandfather, Ho Kim, the former leader of the hero family. The legendary hero family, the same heroes Jaerim has spent years plotting against. Ho Kim, ever the gentleman, gives him a kind smile. Sorry if we startled you, son. Jaerim doesn't move. Beads of sweat roll down his face. His girlfriend is their youngest daughter. His girlfriend is a Kim. Is this a trap? A cruel joke? A hidden camera prank? Hain turns to him, blinking up at him with the most innocent puppy dog eyes. Is this too much for you? Jaerim stiffly grabs her hand. Can we step outside? Real quick. She looks genuinely concerned but nods. The second they are standing aside, Jaerim inhales deeply, stretches his arms to the sky like he's charging up energy, and then drops to his knees. Hands pressed to the ground, he salutes them. Respected elders of the Kim family, he declares. My name is Jaeriman. I've been dating your beloved daughter for 2 years. A stunned silence, before her dad stares, bewildered. Ihun Kim's jaw twitches. Then, a chuckle, Grandpa Ho Kim leans back, stroking his beard. I like this one, he muses. Got guts. That's the kind of man my granddaughter needs. Jaerim bows deeper, forehead practically touching the floor. He, the executioner, the most feared villain in existence, is now facing the biggest crisis of his life. Hain's parents wave off the extravagant gifts, telling Jaerim he didn't have to bring so much. They welcome him warmly, inviting him to take a seat. Jaerim keeps his cool, but internally, a new mission is locked in: keep his identity hidden, and get married no matter what. He sits at the table, keeping his posture perfect, his expression calm. The executioner. Who's that? Never heard of him. He's just Jaeriman, a simple man, here to win over his lovely girlfriend's family. Dinner is served. He takes a bite, nods approvingly, and praises the meal. Hain's mom beams, her dad gives a satisfied nod, and Grandpa Ho Kim laughs, clearly pleased with him. For a moment, it seems like things are going well. Like maybe, just maybe, he can pull this off. But then, his eyes land on him. Ihun Kim, Hain's uncle, is munching on his bread, staring silently. And sticking out of his chest pocket, a certain wedding invitation, the same invitation Ihun Kim picked up at a crime scene. Jaerim keeps his expression neutral. Internally. Panic. This family, this wedding, this entire situation, it's going to be absolute chaos. And I cannot wait. Jaerim slides his business card across the table with the kind of confidence only a man with a well-rehearsed cover story can pull off. Cleaning business, it says. Sure, because everyone believes that. Grandpa Ho Kim picks up the card, squints at it, and nods approvingly. Impressive, he says, like he just found out Jaerim is the CEO of a tech empire. Owning a business at your age, that's something. Jaerim, ever the picture of false humility, waves a hand. Oh, it's just a small company, he says, as if the whole operation isn't shadier than a tree in summer. Now, here's the thing about Grandpa Ho Kim, he's not your average granddad, who spends his days complaining about back pain and reminiscing about the good old days. No, this man is the Ho Kim, the legend, the reason the Hanyong Kim family exists in its current form. If superheroes had a hall of fame, he'd have his own wing. See, in this world, 40% of the population has superpowers, and when families start sharing genes that crank out similar abilities, they tend to band together. That's how hero clans form entire family trees of crime-fighting powerhouses. And the Hanyong Kim family, they are at the top, all thanks to Ho Kim. Back in his prime, the man was a menace to villains. Not just the scary, brooding kind, either. He was the kind of hero who showed up to a fight with a baby strapped to his chest and still mopped the floor with criminals like it was just another Tuesday. The Hanyong Kim family started as a ragtag group of vigilantes. Think less polished superhero squad, more we fight crime because we feel like it. But Ho Kim had bigger plans. Under his leadership, they didn't just get popular, they became a force. Family clans became a thing, hero organizations sprouted up, and before anyone knew it, there was an entire national council of heroes. And yet, here he is, sitting across from Jaerim, pretending like he's just another old man who once dabbled in hero work. Modesty? Maybe. Or maybe he just enjoys watching young folks fumble through their lies. Jaerim sits at the table, carefully keeping his expression neutral. With a man like Ho Kim in the room, letting his guard down isn't an option. The old legend might be all smiles and kind words, but Jaerim knows better. Influence like that doesn't come without a sharp mind behind it. Just as he's lost in thought, Haynes' mother calls out to him, snapping him back to reality. She wants to know more about his work. Her tone is polite, but Jaerim knows better than to take questions from this family lightly. With a cheeky smile, he leans back and delivers his well-practiced answer. I bring in cleaning experts for factories, buildings, pretty much anywhere that needs cleaning. I'll dispatch contractors to handle the work. And if necessary. He pauses for dramatic effect, placing a hand on his chest like a man of great dedication. Sometimes, I even step in to clean myself. That's how he describes his job, as an executioner. With the kind of sincerity that could win an acting award, he informs the family of his work, with a look of pure pride. The Hanyong Kim family nods in approval. Passion is important in any profession, after all. They shower him with praise for his dedication. Jaerim, as always, remains humble, a true master of fake modesty. Then, there's a knock at the door. A chef steps in, carrying more food. Yes, even more food. Jaerim stares in disbelief. He's certain they've already eaten enough to feed an army. Yet, the steaming dishes keep coming. The family urges him to eat more, insisting that someone who works so hard needs to keep his strength up. Jaerim doesn't argue, he feasts like a beast, demolishing plate after plate until a towering stack of empty dishes sits in front of him like a monument to his appetite. Ever the generous hosts, the Hanyong Kim family offers to order more. Jaerim, patting his stomach like a man who just won a battle, shakes his head. He's grateful, truly, but even he has limits. Jaerim's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen, and there it is, bold and undeniable, work is calling. With a polite nod, he excuses himself. Sorry, important call from work, he says, as if he's about to discuss cleaning supplies instead of crime. Stepping outside, he answers. Jay's on the line, sounding slightly nervous, probably because the boss made it very clear that tonight was important. Apologies, boss, Jay starts, knowing full well he's interrupting. But Kay has the target completely surrounded. Jaerim's smirk is instant. Finally. The Lee family had been a pain to track down, but their patience paid off. Kay, his executioner director, top-ranking official in their little league of villains, has things locked down. Proceed, Jaerim orders, the satisfaction clear in his voice. Before Jay can respond, Jaerim catches movement from the corner of his eye. Someone's here. He doesn't even hesitate, click. Call ended. It's Ihun Kim, Hain's uncle steps forward casually, a cigarette in hand. You interested in having a smoke? Jaerim shakes his head with a casual smile. Quit a long time ago. Hain doesn't like it. Ihun stares for a second before chuckling. You're a hopeless romantic. Jaerim shrugs, he won't deny it. As he turns to leave, though, his mind lingers on one thought, did he hear anything? A single misstep could mean a disaster. Taking Ihun Kim out right here, right now wouldn't be difficult. Quick, clean, problem solved. But just as the idea crosses his mind, an image of Hain flashes through his thoughts. She's been looking forward to tonight's family gathering for weeks. She'd be devastated if anything ruined it. No, our male lead can't do anything reckless. Not tonight, Ihun Kim sighs dramatically behind him. Can't believe my niece is getting married when even I haven't tied the knot yet. Ihun Kim calls out, and Jaerim steps closer, keeping his usual cool composure. The uncle leans back, arms crossed. Must have been quite the shock when Hain introduced you to the Hanyong Kim family. Jaerim offers a polite chuckle. You could say that. Ihun nods knowingly. Hain's always been frail. Her abilities never manifested. The family had kept her out of the public eye for her safety. She couldn't tell anyone where she came from, and I know that must have been lonely for her. Jaerim listens, silent but attentive. She's grown a lot, Ihun continues. All I want is for her to be happy and to end up with someone good. His eyes flicker toward Jaerim, a quiet challenge hidden beneath his words. Jaerim dips his head. I appreciate that. With a smirk, Ihun leans forward. So, when are the wedding invitations coming? I've got a buddy who's great at that stuff. At the mention of wedding invitations, Jaerim's excitement is immediate. He pats his suit pocket, fully expecting to find the invitation, only to come up empty. His brow furrows, he's curious to know where it is and slam. A wedding invitation lands hard on the table. Jaerim's gaze snaps up. Ihun Kim stares at him, unreadable. This what you're looking for? The air shifts, tension thickens like a storm rolling in. Neither man moves, but their eyes say everything. They glow, Jaerim's in one peculiar shade, Ihun Kim's in another. Power hums between them, ready to ignite. Ihun tilts his head. Wanna know where I found it? Jaerim's heart pounds, though his face remains unreadable. Then, reality hits him like a freight train. The crime scene, his mind races, our male lead made a mistake, a careless mistake. And now, he's been caught. His fingers twitch. He's already considering his options. Take Ihun out, quick, before he says anything else. It would be easy, too easy. But just as he makes his decision, something happens. A loud, booming voice echoes through the building, shattering the air like a thunderclap. Hope you all enjoyed your meal. The voice rings out through a microphone, amplified by speakers. Now, if you're done stuffing your faces, let's get down to business. The atmosphere shifts, the room, once filled with warm chatter and the clinking of dishes, falls into stunned silence. Then chaos, armed goons flood the building, moving with precision. A takeover. And the man leading them. He stands outside, broadcasting his message with a confidence that borders on madness. This place, the villain declares, is now under the control of the executioner. Jaerim stiffens. His entire body locks up, every muscle tense. What? His mind scrambles for an answer. He's the executioner. He runs the underworld's deadliest operations. So what in the world is this lunatic talking about? Before Jaerim can process anything, the villain plummets, from the sky like a meteor. The impact is violent. Cracks spiderweb across the car where he lands, the force sending a tremor through the floor. A thick, suffocating darkness radiates from him, curling in waves like living smoke. It's an aura Jaerim knows all too well. Because it's just like his own. The villain straightens, a wicked grin splitting his face. Step out to the parking lot now, unless you want me to start making hostages out of your dear loved ones. No one moves, the villain clicks his tongue. TSK, stubborn, aren't we? His gaze sharpens, his voice dropping into something colder. You dirty hypocrites. Playing heroes while burying your own filth under the rug, how noble. Jaerim doesn't react, not outwardly. But internally. Oh my, who is this guy? And more importantly, what the hell is he up to? The villain's voice rings out, calling the Hanyong Kim family a bunch of hypocrites. Ihun Kim and Jaerim sit across from each other in stiff silence, neither speaking nor meeting the other's gaze. Then, as if a silent agreement passes between them, they bolt from their seats and rush indoors. But when they reach the dining room, the once lively space is eerily empty. Chairs are pushed back as if abandoned in a hurry, dishes sit untouched, and the faint clatter of utensils settling is the only sound left behind. Not a single soul remains. Ihun Kim's forehead glistens as sweat pours down his temples, his breath shaky, his mind racing. Jaerim, however, doesn't stop for even a second. His feet pound against the floor, his legs moving on their own as he charges toward the balcony, one singular thought repeating in his head like a siren blaring at full volume, where is Hain? His eyes dart frantically across the yard below, scanning the scene, and his stomach twists when he spots the Kim family outside, hurriedly moving. In their midst, standing out like a sore thumb, is Hain, powerless, vulnerable, and completely out of place. A flicker of movement snags Jaerim's attention. His eyes narrow as he strains to see through the darkness. And there, just beyond the driveway, he catches sight of someone. His breath hitches, his chest tightens. That figure is familiar, it's him. No, someone pretending to be him. His jaw clenches so hard it might crack. Who in their right mind would dare pull something like this? Who even could? His hands shake with barely contained fury, but before he can act on it, his phone buzzes in his pocket. He yanks it out, his thumb swiping at the screen, and his eyes dart across Jay's report. The message sends a chill down his spine. K, the very same K who reports to him, had apparently changed targets at the last minute, setting his sights on the Hanyong Kims. And Jay had tried to warn him, but thanks to his impeccable timing of hanging up, he never got the memo. Jaerim's heartbeat is like a war drum against his ribs. His fingers grip his phone so tightly that for a second, it's a miracle it doesn't snap in half. Panic creeps in, horror clings to his lungs. His mind scrambles for a plan, for an answer, for anything. But nothing comes. His hands are tied, and for once, he has no idea what to do. Then, a hand claps down on his shoulder. Jaerim flinches, his body stiffening. Ihun Kim stands beside him, calm as ever, his grip firm, his expression unreadable. He meets Jaerim's wild gaze and, in that usual composed tone, tells him to stay put. Jaerim blinks, stay put. His face contorts in something between disbelief and pure offense. His stomach churns at the sheer absurdity of the suggestion. His eyes narrow, his lip curls, and the look he gives Ihun could melt steel. In what world, what universe, would he ever just sit back and wait? Jaerim struggles to follow orders, his instincts screaming at him to act, but Ihun Kim's grip on his shoulder tightens. With his usual, unnerving calm, Ihun assures him that he'll take care of it. His precision is unmatched, but for that, he needs complete focus. His one request. Jaerim needs to stay put. Jaerim, however, has bigger problems than his itchy trigger finger. A thought gnaws at him: Hain's uncle doesn't trust him. The way the older man watches him, the way his sharp eyes flicker with scrutiny, it's clear as day. But before Jaerim can dwell on that, the Kim family edges ever closer to the parking lot. Hain's father stiffens. He senses it, the shift in the air, the subtle ripple of power. His brother is about to act. And if Ihun Kim is going to execute his ability efficiently, then distractions need to be handled. With practiced ease, he directs the family's attention elsewhere, voice firm, as he asks how their location was leaked. Their whereabouts had been confidential. So how? Kay grins, entirely unfazed. His confidence drips off him like he already knows he's won. Not just your location, he announces, tilting his head with mock amusement. Hain's father's eyes darken, his irritation spiking into something sharper, more dangerous. Curiosity tugs at his expression, but it's overshadowed by his anger. Kay doesn't falter. With the same ease as someone delivering casual gossip, he steps down from the car and strolls forward. Then, with a smirk that could split the world in half, he drops a bombshell. I know all about your youngest daughter. The one you keep so carefully hidden away. His smirk widens. The one without abilities. Silence hangs heavy in the air. Grandpa and Hain's father react first. They are livid, their fury crackling like a storm about to strike. Meanwhile, Hain's mother, desperate to shield her daughter, yells out, her voice cutting through the tension. She calls to Hain, urging her to ignore the villain's words. But Hain. She doesn't even flinch. Her expression remains unreadable, her step steady as she moves closer, her eyes locked on Kay. She isn't rattled, if anything, she's intrigued. There's only one thing she wants to know. Who told you? K's laughter explodes into the night, sharp and crazed, the sound echoing off the walls. He clutches his stomach, shaking his head, thoroughly amused. You actually think I'd tell you, he sneers, wiping at an invisible tear. His laughter dies, his expression snapping into something deadly serious. If I had the time, he continues, voice smooth, almost casual, I'd have kidnapped you already. Taken you hostage. A beat of silence follows. Jaerim's hands curl into fists, his jaw locking so tight it aches. His blood boils, his breath uneven, his patience gone? Not too far away, Ihun Kim is moments away from unleashing his attack, every muscle in his body coiled with precision. But before he can execute it, Jaerim, in all his impulsive glory, makes a decision. With zero hesitation, and even less common sense, he jumps off the balcony. A chorus of shocked gasps erupts. Hain's uncle calls out to him, and every member of the Kim family whips their heads around, their eyes widening as they watch the reckless young man plummet. Time seems to slow as Jaerim descends. It's almost graceful, almost. And then, with a spectacularly loud thud, he crashes into the ground, sending up a thick cloud of dust and debris. Hain's heart nearly stops. Jaerim, she shouts, her voice sharp with worry. For a tense few seconds, nothing moves. Then, out of the bushes, Jaerim stumbles forward, coughing up a leaf that had somehow made its way into his mouth. He spits it out with a disgusted grimace, his hair a mess, his dignity in shambles. He wrestles his way out of the branches, barely standing upright when Hain dashes to his side. Her hands fly over him, checking for injuries, her concern evident. Meanwhile, Kay is stunned. His smirk falters. His confidence wavers. For the first time since arriving, he looks genuinely thrown off. Jaerim flicks his gaze toward the villain and gives him a look, one that screams, "Keep your mouth shut." K squints, trying to make sense of what he's seeing. Something about the man before him seems familiar, but it doesn't quite click, until it does. His eyes widen as realization dawns. It's a rare sight indeed, the boss in casual clothes. The villain grins, excitement buzzing in his voice. "Boss?" "Oh, hell no." Before Kay can say another word, Jaerim lets out a heavy sigh, bends down, and picks up a rock. But this isn't just any rock. No, this is a rock with a mission. With pinpoint accuracy, and strength that really shouldn't be possible, Jaerim launches it straight at Kay. The projectile moves like a bullet. It slams into Kay with bone-rattling force, sending the villain flying backward. He crashes into the ground, his cry of "Boss" stretching out as he soars through the air. The Kim family stares, their jaws collectively hitting the floor. Hain's father, who had been so sure Jaerim was just a normal young man, can't believe his eyes. Superpowers? From him? Impossible. Ihun Kim, equally stunned, watches in silence. He had been convinced Jaerim worked for the executioner, so what the hell did he just witness? Jaerim steps forward, his silhouette looming over Kay like a dark omen. His fists clench so tightly his knuckles crack, his entire body radiating barely restrained fury. Then, without warning, boom, he moves. 1 second, he's standing still. The next, he's a blur. Kay barely has time to process it. Jaerim charges forward like a man on a mission, an extremely furious, caffeine-deprived mission, eyes locked on the villain in sight. But before he can get too dramatic, Hain's father steps in with the calm precision of someone who's seen this kind of chaos before, possibly during a PTA meeting. With firm hands on Jaerim's shoulders, he reminds the young hothead that he's just a civilian, not some action movie protagonist. Still, even with all that dad energy, he can't ignore the fact that Jaerim's built like someone who moonlights as a refrigerator mover. Jaerim's chest heaves as he pants furiously, politely, yet intensely asking to be released. His eyes burn with pure determination, and maybe a hint of second-hand embarrassment, and he lets out a yell loud enough to scare pigeons 3 blocks over, all directed at the villain, Kay. Meanwhile, Kay, who's still sitting on the ground like he accidentally opened the wrong Zoom meeting, has no idea how the situation escalated so fast. As Jaerim continues yelling with enough passion to land a drama award, he somehow manages to shoot a text to Kay, demanding his subordinate back off right now. Multitasking at its finest. Kay glances at his phone, blinking at the message like it's a grocery list he doesn't remember writing. Back at the scene, Hain's father keeps dragging Jaerim away to what he claims is a safe distance, though Jaerim's flailing suggests he's not really sold on the idea. Though Jaerim looks like he just got off a roller coaster he didn't sign up for, deep down he's silently begging his subordinates to pick up on the vibe and just go home. Meanwhile, the other goons start closing in on Kay, the villain of the hour. Kay, still seated and utterly overwhelmed, lets a single tear slip out from behind his mask. He's probably regretting every life choice that led him to this moment. A short distance away, Hain is in full disappointed girlfriend mode, scolding Jaerim for being reckless. Jaerim quickly shifts into apologetic puppy mode, suddenly a far cry from the terrifying boss K's been idolizing in his villainous daydreams. Kay, blinking like someone whose Wi-Fi just glitched, struggles to process this dramatic character flip. Still, one thing is clear, orders have been given. The boss wants everyone to retreat. But before Kay can even start forming a plan B, one of the goons casually leans in and reveals a ticking time bomb, courtesy of Director J. Apparently someone thought this was a good moment for explosive surprises. Without waiting for input, or common sense, the goon arms the bomb and proudly announces he's going to blow up the heroes and Jaerim too. Kay suddenly realizes the squad doesn't actually know who their boss really is, so awkward. Just as the two start discussing this jaw-dropping misunderstanding, a blinding beam of light zaps the goon like the universe itself said, nope. The bomb slips from his hand in slow-motion disaster fashion, and before it can hit the ground, Ihun Kim shouts to his family to grab it like it's a game of deadly hot potato. Instantly, the telekinetic of the group steps in with zero hesitation, lifting the bomb high into the air like she does this between brunches. With expert flair, she flicks it even higher into the sky, 10/10 technique. Olympic judges would be proud. Mrs. Hui Kim wastes no time yelling orders like a true mom on a mission, telling the rest of her superhero family to handle the villains while she takes care of the whole incoming explosive situation. The goons, now deeply regretting their life choices, start to realize things aren't going their way. Especially when they catch sight of the monster hero behind them powering up into full beast mode, like someone just pressed his final boss button. Suddenly, Kay springs into the air and snatches the ticking time bomb, with all the flair of someone who's just won a carnival prize. He even flashes a proud grin, clearly thinking this is his big moment. Mrs. Hui instantly wishes she'd launched the thing into orbit instead, but before she can do anything else, Jaerim calmly raises his phone like a remote control of doom, aiming the screen straight at Kay. On it, in bold letters, is a simple message: disappear. Now? The look on Jaerim's face could probably curdle milk. Kay spots the boss and instantly goes into panic mode, dropping the bomb like it's radioactive tofu. Luckily, the barrier hero of the Kim family is already on it, snapping up a shield around everyone like it's a reflex. Kay lands unharmed, but the bomb goes off in a bright, dramatic flash. It could have doubled as a concert finale. Inside the glowing dome, the entire Hanyong Kim family and Jaerim remain perfectly safe, thanks to their trusty human force field. The barrier hero stares at the aftermath with wide eyes, half impressed and half concerned, genuinely wondering who on earth makes a bomb that pretty. Once he confirms everyone's intact and still has their eyebrows, he finally lowers the shield. Kay, meanwhile, is having the biggest identity crisis of his villain career, seeing his revered boss casually hanging out with the hero squad like it's a family barbecue. Still, orders come first. With one final, dramatic call, he tells his goons to retreat. The goons look at him like he just started speaking in riddles, but hey, orders are orders. One of the goons, apparently still full of bad ideas, pulls out a second bomb like it's show and tell, proudly suggesting they do it right this time. Before Grandpa Ho Kim can even step in with some well-earned grandpa justice, Kay launches himself at his own subordinate and delivers a smack so loud it echoes with authority and maybe a little disappointment. The goon stumbles, respectfully installed, as Kay firmly reasserts that he's the boss around here, not some bomb-happy intern. The sudden shift in power makes Grandpa Ho pause, deciding maybe he'll just let them sort out their own villain drama. Kay, seizing the moment, claims he was going to go full chaos mode, but he's had a change of heart, apparently inspired by one ordinary citizen with the guts to stand up to him, Jaerim. It's a dramatic speech, with just enough flair to be suspicious. The goons behind him whisper like kids who just heard the final exam got cancelled, clearly confused by their boss's sudden turn of generosity. Kay assures them there's no debate, it's already been decided. But just as he finishes the line, reality smacks him harder than he smacked his henchman. The monster hero, moving faster than logic, appears behind Kay with the kind of presence that screams, "You done." Before Kay can even blink, a giant glowing fist makes contact, launching him into unconsciousness with a single thought: what is happening and who even is my boss? A few moments later, the villain formerly known as a big problem, is now cuffed up in a highly secure, highly uncomfortable ride to the station, trying to piece together how his evil plan turned into the worst team-building exercise of all time. As the police car speeds off into the distance, Kay sits in the backseat, staring blankly at his phone like it holds the secrets of the universe, or at least some answers about what just happened. The boss's messages still glow on the screen, cryptic and commanding, and the more Kay stares, the more confused he becomes. The confusion builds, swirls, and eventually spills out in the form of quiet, dramatic tears, because apparently, today just isn't his day. Meanwhile, back at the scene, the mood couldn't be more different. The Hanyeong Kim family is in full celebration mode, high-fiving, grinning, and basking in the glory of taking down a top-tier villain like they just won family game night. Among the happy crowd, Jaerim walks hand-in-hand with Hain, a big, proud smile plastered across his face, the kind of smile that says, "I survived, I'm in love, and I didn't explode today." But just as everything feels picture-perfect, Hain stops in her tracks, her expression shifting. She turns to him and drops a bomb even bigger than the one from earlier. She wants to break up. Just like that, no warning, no dramatic music cue, just heartbreak in a sentence. Jaerim freezes, blindsided. It's so sudden, so wildly out of sync with the victory celebration, that it throws everything into question. Is this really the end of their relationship? Or is there more to this twist than meets the eye? At Hain's words, Jaerim freezes like someone just hit pause on his brain, then spins to her like she just confessed she's secretly a time traveler. He grabs her shoulder, baffled, while the entire Hanyeong Kim family whips around like they are watching a drama unfold in real time. Poor guy only met the family 5 minutes ago, and now he's stuck in what feels like a season finale. Hain flinches and starts apologizing like she personally planned the chaos, insisting it was supposed to be a chill dinner, not a plot twist from an action movie. Ihun Kim tries to step in like the peacemaker, but Mrs. Hui blocks him with the calm force of a mother who's seen too many love stories go sideways. Hain suddenly bursts into tears and begs to cancel the engagement, worried Jaerim might regret joining a hero-filled family that throws punches with dessert. But instead of panicking, Jaerim pulls her into a big, warm hug that could melt any heart. No dramatic speech, just pure wholesome vibes as he shows her that her superhero lineage doesn't scare him off. He just wants her. Hain agrees through her tears, and just like that, the two are back on track, leaving Jaerim blinking in disbelief that they nearly broke up before the wedding cake was even ordered. Jaerim gives Hain a gentle head pat, like he's congratulating her for surviving a boss battle, all while mentally tallying the wild cost of this family dinner, from his bruised ego to his poor subordinate, who took one for the team. As he's lost in thought, the Hanyeong Kim family suddenly bursts into applause like they've just watched a romantic finale. Mrs. Hui giggles, calls him future son-in-law, and probably already has their couple nickname picked out. Ihun Kim, ever the inquisitor, asks if Jaerim has any powers, but Jaerim waves it off, proudly declaring he's just your average super-athletic civilian. Bro's basically a walking gym membership with good intentions. He's sure he didn't pull anything supernatural earlier, just good old adrenaline, and the panic of seeing his girl in danger. The family's impressed, tossing him compliments like party favors as they stroll ahead, laughing like this wasn't almost a breakup episode. Jaerim casually mentions he acted on impulse when Hain was threatened. It's romantic and mildly reckless. Suddenly, Ihun calls out, and Jaerim's heart nearly does park hour thinking the wedding invitation secret's about to blow up. But plot twist, Ihun bows and apologizes for doubting him, leaving Jaerim more stunned than the time he realized hero families come with surprise combat training at dinner. Ihun Kim leans in like he's about to spill top-secret tea, and casually drops that he originally thought Jaerim was an undercover agent for the executioner, romantic dinner vibes thoroughly ruined. But after a night of chaos and unintentional team bonding, he's concluded that both Jaerim and Hain are actually targets, not traitors. The reason? A wedding invitation found at the crime scene earlier that very day. Hain's face screams, "What invitation?" and Ihun, loving the drama, does a full-on dramatic reveal of the invite to the entire Hanyeong Kim clan. Hain gasps, understandably confused, and Ihun explains he picked it up right from the villain's exit route, like it was some kind of cursed RSVP. The family collectively gasps, as if they've all just been written into a plot twist. Ihun admits it's the only reason he doubted Jaerim, but now his whole outlook's done a 180. Meanwhile, the monster hero nearby is fuming and points out the obvious. The executioner just sent a not-so-subtle warning by crashing their dinner. Hain and Jaerim are clearly next on the villain's hit list. Even sweet Mrs. Hui starts glowing with telekinetic fury. Turns out she's not just a charming mom, but a floating furniture-level threat. As tensions peak, Grandpa Ho Kim, perched dramatically at the highest point like he's auditioning for a royal announcement, declares it's time to unleash the family's elite army system. You know, totally normal in-law behavior. A dramatic family theme song kicks in like they are about to launch a new superhero anime, and one by one, the Hanyeong Kim family members strike heroic poses, showing off their powers like it's a talent show with real stakes. A booming voice, yes, the standing army system itself. They proudly announce their 24-hour security service, promising to keep the bad guys out with enough firepower to make a fortress jealous. Jaerim is absolutely floored, sitting there with eyes wide, while Hain drops beside him, equally stunned but clearly touched. Grandpa Ho Kim, not to be outdone, declares he's ready to come out of retirement just to hunt down the executioner and wrap him up as a wedding present for his precious granddaughter. Hain is teary-eyed at this overly heroic family love, while Jaerim sits there quietly panicking because he's the executioner. Yep, plot twist, he's the gift. Mrs. Hui sweetly offers to let Jaerim stay under their roof for protection, and Jaerim, trying not to break into a cold sweat, politely declines. But when he glances at Hain, her hopeful expression nearly makes him cave. Still, no matter how much he wants to protect her, he can't stay because the entire villain organization is counting on him, and dinner just turned into a moral crisis. Mrs. Hui leans in like she's about to whisper a bedtime story, but instead drops the bomb that the wedding's on hold until the executioner is caught, which, fun fact, means indefinitely if the executioner's sitting right there. At her words, Jaerim, in a moment of questionable judgment or sheer panic, agrees to move in with the Hanyeong Kim family of heroes. Ihun Kim instantly grabs him in a side hug that's half welcome, half bear trap. Inside, Jaerim's questioning every decision that led to this moment, including saying yes to dinner. The heroes, trying to be reassuring, promise that living together won't be weird, they'll just casually protect him 24/7 like it's a roommate perk. Meanwhile, Jaerim's inner monologue is just one long scream, because this is the worst-case scenario in a very heroic disguise. Meanwhile, back at the villain detention center, a shady warden strolls up to K's cell and casually tosses him a key, like they're sharing snacks. K, eyebrow raised, asks who's helping him, and the warden claims it's from the executioner. K, clearly vibing with that answer, grins like this is great news. But something's off. The guy has those two blue eyes and undercover hero energy, like he moonlights as a double agent between villain briefings. Who is this guy? Something tells me he's not exactly on Team Evil. Jaerim, also known as the executioner and totally not your average dinner guest, shows up at the Hanyeong Kim residence with his adorable puppy tucked into his backpack like a sneaky sidekick. He's here to meet his fiancé's family, the famous heroes, because nothing says love like moving in with your natural enemies for protection. When he rings the doorbell, Hain answers, and the two share a dramatic, heart-thumping hug that probably has theme music playing in the background. Inside, her dad has allegedly prepared a grand feast just for him, either as a warm welcome or last supper, unclear. Mrs. Hui gets introduced to the puppy, and Jaerim flashes a smirk that says, "I'm cute, but I'm also plotting something mildly villainous." The family greets him with laughter and warmth, completely unaware they've just let in the world's most charming threat. Meanwhile, just days earlier, Jaerim hosted a meeting with his top villain executives. Basically the evil version of a boardroom Zoom call, minus the PowerPoint, but plus world domination plans. At the villain HQ, the executioner gathers his top brass. Lady Q, J, and K are all present for what they assume is another world-conquering strategy session, only for the boss to casually drop the bomb: he's getting married. J shoots up like he just sat on a taser, completely rattled. Q immediately jumps to the very logical conclusion that he's marrying her, while K starts teasing her like a kid poking a hornet's nest with a stick. Q glares at him with the fury of someone ready to throw hands and possibly lightning, but K, totally unfazed, just smirks and wonders aloud if she really wants to test him. Before sparks can actually fly, the boss growls, like, full-on menace mode, and tells them to sit down, his aura slamming down like a mood-dampening thunderstorm. Director Jae, now pretending that didn't scare him, politely congratulates him and asks for the marriage details. The executioner, in his usual cool tone, says he's marrying a civilian in 8 months. Q looks like someone just spoiled the ending of her favorite drama. He then makes it clear, no revealing his identity. K slams the table like a judge with flair, pointing out that Hain is literally the youngest daughter of the legendary Hanyong family. Q collective villain gasp. But the executioner, calm as ever, like he just said he's marrying into a bakery, not one of the 5 families who built the Council of Heroes. Suddenly, K remembers that weird behavior from the boss the other night, and yep, it all makes sense now. The executioner coolly declares that this unexpected cozy setup with the heroes is actually their golden opportunity to wipe them out for good. As far as he's concerned, Hain's the only family he needs. Cue the dramatic villain energy. K's eyes narrow, brain doing mental gymnastics, as he wonders if this entire marriage is a long con to take down the Hanyong Kims from the inside. The idea that the boss would go that far. Honestly, it blows his mind a little. Then the executioner drops the real bomb. The official hunt for the Hanyong Kim family starts after the wedding. His executives all smirk together like synchronized swimmers of evil, clearly loving the plan to strike when the heroes are at their most unprepared. The boss isn't about to go in recklessly either. He plans to craft the perfect scenario before making a move. No objections from the crew, but Director Jae raises a hand like a student in class. He calmly points out that Ihun Kim is right outside their top-secret villain lair. Surveillance confirms it. Yep, that's Ihun. Then the phone rings. On the other end, Ihun casually says he heard Jaerim works weekends, rude, and thought he'd drop by for a point inspection. The boss freezes for a moment, clearly rattled by those words, because nothing says, "Oh," like your future in-law showing up during your evil PowerPoint presentation. Almost instantly, Ihun Kim strolls right up to a nearby door like he's done this 100 times before, and casually mentions he can sense Jaerim's presence inside. Every villain in the room suddenly forgets how to breathe as tension spikes. Jaerim bolts toward the door, but it's too late. It's already creaking open, the world's slowest horror movie sound effect playing in everyone's minds. Ihun's got that look in his eyes, the kind that says he's here for more than just small talk or surprise inspections. There's purpose, intensity, maybe even suspicion. No one knows what he's really after, but something about the way he moves, so calm yet deliberate, makes it feel like he already knows too much. And while the villains silently panic, one thing's clear, this isn't just a drop-in. Not with that look, not with that timing. Grandpa Ho Kim and Hain's father sit across from each other, sipping tea and exchanging suspicious glances over Jaerim and's mysterious behavior. They are not entirely convinced he's just a charming businessman, and not secretly an agent for the executioner, because, normal people don't radiate that much cool under pressure. Grandpa Ho Kim suggests they catch Jaerim off guard, so they send Ihun Kim to his workplace without warning. Ihun arrives, barely out the car before claiming he can already sense Jaerim's presence, like some kind of overly dramatic psychic bloodhound. Inside the office, chaos brews as executives scramble like they've been caught rehearsing a flash mob. Ihun grabs the door handle, flings it open with righteous flair, and strides in, ready to launch into an inspection, but freezes mid-sentence. The room is eerily calm, and at the center sits Jaerim, calmly sipping his coffee in a suit that screams, "I definitely pay taxes." Without missing a beat, Jaerim welcomes Ihun and casually introduces his executives. It's weird cause one's somehow halfway into a colorful mascot costume. Ihun tries not to question it, but the mental image is hard to shake off. Before he can think too hard, Q steps forward. Their eyes meet, and Ihun's heart does a little backflip, because nothing says plot twist like falling for someone during a surprise inspection. Q lights up when she sees Ihun, claiming she's seen him countless times on the news. To be fair, it is the superhero version of "I follow you on Instagram." She extends a hand and Ihun, visibly flustered, shakes it while mumbling his own name like it's suddenly a riddle. Q, still holding his hand, compliments his good looks, and the entire room is instantly submerged in awkward silence, the kind you could slice with a spork. Jaerim, seated nearby, can't help but smirk. This was turning into a rom-com faster than expected. Just then, a dog's bark slices through the tension, and Ihun carefully kneels to pet the growling creature, whispering sweet nothings like it's a bomb with fur. Turns out, the dog is actually K, Jaerim's colleague with the special ability to transform, though dog is apparently his best disguise, which says a lot. Ihun picks K up and plays with him like it's take your puppy to work day. Clearly stunned, Jaerim brings a dog to the office. When Ihun asks how long he's had the dog, Jaerim freezes like someone just asked for his browser history. He throws a look at Q, who silently receives it like they've practiced telepathic side-eye communication, and he smoothly suggests they take the conversation into his office. Moments later, all seated, Jaerim stuns the room by bursting into tears, launching into a dramatic origin story about the dog that no one, especially K, was emotionally prepared for. Ihun Kim listens to Jaerim's tearful dog origin story, and gets visibly worked up, struggling to comprehend how anyone could abandon such a tiny, fuzzy bundle of loyalty. Jaerim wipes his tears and solemnly explains that raising the dog hasn't been easy, especially with his upcoming move to stay with his in-laws. He admits he's unsure what to do with the dog, hinting that the office might not be a long-term solution. Curious, Ihun glances at the other executives, wondering if one of them could adopt the pup. But Jaerim quickly claims they are all allergic. Ihun squints at the perfectly healthy-looking pair, and the moment he voices his doubt, both Q and J start twitching, trembling, and coughing like they are in a bad improved class. Jaerim nods solemnly, saying it's been hard on them, but they endure it out of love, because, apparently, their loyalty to him outweighs their sinuses. He gives the dog a gentle pat, then drops the emotional nuke. There's a high chance he'll have to send K to a shelter. At that, the dog whines pitifully in Ihun's arms like it understood every word and may or may not be adding dramatic flair. Without hesitation, Ihun springs to his feet, declaring that there's no need to rush the shelter idea. He'll go ask the Hanyong Kim family if it's cool for Jaerim to bring the dog along. Then, in true superhero fashion, he bolts out, cape or not, leaving everyone else stunned and K very pleased with himself. K trots over to Jaerim, tail wagging like a cheerful spy awaiting his mission briefing. Jaerim crouches down and quietly tells him he'll be entering the Hanyong Kim residence in dog form, not just for intel, but to prep for an assassination, because apparently, espionage now comes with chew toys. The executioner's plan is to wipe out the family after the wedding, and K, thrilled at the prospect of infiltration, grins like a pup who just found out belly rubs are mandatory. Jaerim, charmed by his enthusiasm, scoops him up with a rare smile that could almost be mistaken for wholesome, if it weren't for the whole murder plot thing. Suddenly, Ihun bursts back into the room like a man who just won a game show, announcing that the family gave the green light for Jaerim to bring the dog. Cheers erupt all around, like they are not Loki planning an inside job. Later, Ihun steps out to update Grandpa Ho Kim, full of pride, totally unaware of the villain smirking from high above the building like he just won evil boss bingo. The executioner, dripping with malice and passive-aggressive rage, curses the heroes and relishes the fact that he's finally wormed his way into the Kim household, convinced this hospitality will be their downfall. Meanwhile, Jaerim enters the dining room, stopping dead, as a heavenly scent socks him in the face. The table is set, and Hain's dad is plating fried chicken that looks criminally delicious. The family welcomes him warmly, and Jaerim, for a brief second, looks like he's rethinking world domination in favor of drumsticks. Hain pats the seat beside her and flashes a smile, inviting Jaerim to sit, which he does with the eager energy of a man about to fight a chicken wing for dominance. He's practically drooling, eyes locked on the golden, steaming plate in front of him, But just as he lifts his chopsticks, Grandpa Ho Kim clears his throat like a boss summoning a plot twist. He announces that the family has something for Jaerim, and suddenly, a projector begins its slow descent from the ceiling with the suspense of a villain's trapdoor. Jaerim freezes, stomach growling in protest, as his mind races through every possible scenario. Was this a surprise attack? A slideshow of embarrassing surveillance screenshots? Either way, the chicken grows cold and the room fills with tension as he braces for whatever dramatic hero nonsense is coming next. Grandpa Ho Kim claps his hands together and declares a surprise trivia quiz, turning dinner into a battlefield of brains, split into two teams, with the sacred rule, no correct answer, no dinner. Jaerim freezes like a deer in headlights, clearly blindsided by this turn of events. Grandpa Ho beams, insisting Jaerim's basically family now, so it's only fair he suffers like the rest. The prize for the first question. A glorious, glistening slice of ham that looks like it came straight from a food commercial. All eyes are on the bell, the only path to dinner glory. The room erupts in cheers as Grandpa Ho dramatically announces the start, clearly living his game show host fantasy. Jaerim glances at his fiancée, suddenly understanding why she warned him to show up hungry. The first question appears on the screen, and the room falls into suspenseful silence. Jaerim winces at the PowerPoint slide. It's as clunky as a group project done at 2 a.m. Ihan dramatically slams the bell, ready to blurt out an answer like he's on a timer, but Hain calmly intercepts, suggesting Jaerim take the spotlight instead. Apparently nothing says welcome to the family like public quiz pressure. With sudden intensity and laser focus, Jaerim delivers an answer that halts the room mid-bite, or mid-hunger pang. Hain looks like someone just told her house was made of pudding. Calm and composed, Jaerim begins breaking down his logic like he's giving a TED talk. Heroes may have crazy powers, sure, but they're tied up tighter than a gift box in legal red tape. He insists they are creatures of honor, living by codes, and that makes them vulnerable to public pressure and rules. He even doubles down on his answer with the confidence of someone who definitely didn't just wing it. Grandpa Ho Kim squints, nods thoughtfully, then slams the buzzer like he's sentencing a man to dinnerlessness. Wrong? A rival team member swoops in with the correct answer like it's child's play, and Jaerim's gears start turning. Maybe it's not just about honor, maybe power always comes with built-in restrictions, or the world would be toast. Meanwhile, the opposing team pounces on the ham like a pack of polite, but ravenous wolves. Jaerim's stomach lets out a mournful groan loud enough to register as a cry for help. Hain rallies her team with a motivational pep talk, and Jaerim mutters that he's not even hungry, though his stomach clearly disagrees, staging a loud protest. Hain's dad lifts his head briefly from the ham he's been happily demolishing, and gives Jaerim a surprising nod of approval, calling his answer very interesting, which, in most circles, is just one step above nice try. Jaerim perks up, hopeful that maybe this means he can now, possibly, eat something. Instead, he's handed a wristwatch like he's just been recruited into a secret agency. The dad explains it's a direct line to any standby hero, he just needs to tap the button and boom, hero on demand. Curious, Jaerim gives it a try, and instantly he's wrapped in a shimmering barrier like he's been bubble-wrapped by magic. It's solid, powerful, he can feel the force of it pressing all around him. Turns out Hae Hyun designed it, and with the Hanyeong Kim family backing it, it's practically indestructible, probably. Jaerim thanks them genuinely, already wondering if maybe, just maybe he could go easy on Hae Hyun in the future. But the family quickly warns him not to let his guard down just because he's got a force field now. If danger shows up, he needs to run, activate the barrier, and call for backup like a man with excellent survival instincts. He promises he will. Grandpa Ho Kim suddenly bellows for order, full game master energy restored, and jumps into question 2. Jaerim's heart thumps with renewed resolve. He'll make sure Hain eats like a queen tonight, no matter how many trivia questions it takes. The results are in, and the room falls into stunned silence. Jaerim, the outsider, has somehow nailed 6 out of 10 questions like he's been studying hero trivia in secret. Ihun gives him a proud nod, clearly impressed, while Jaerim tries to stay cool, but starts wondering if maybe he overdid it a little. Grandpa Ho Kim, absolutely loving the chaos, suggests 10 more questions, and Hain's dad casually wanders off to reload his plate like this is a buffet/boot camp. Jarim's head spins. First they starved him, now they are dangling food in front of him like it's a reward on a game show. The next question drops, this time about the hero sponsorship system, and just as the cheer squad rallies behind Jaerim again, his expression shifts. A memory stirs, tightening his face, and for the first time, he admits he doesn't know the answer. The Hanyong Kim family bursts into warm laughter, more amused than disappointed. Sensing a good moment to break, Hain suggests ice cream, because, clearly, nothing says quiz fatigue like a frozen treat. As they walk together, Jarim's mind drifts into darker territory, focused entirely on the downfall of the heroes. Hain tugs him gently back to reality, apologizing for her family's quirky trivia and prizes bonding method, explaining they are trying hard since he's going to be part of them soon. Jaerim leans in a little, his voice sincere, he's truly grateful to be here. Hain takes off toward the house, calling over her shoulder that he can take his time, she'll deliver the ice cream. There's a lightness in her voice, like a huge weight's been lifted just by talking to him. Jaerim tells her to be careful, watching as she runs off, her steps full of that cheerful energy only ice cream and family bonding can summon. Left alone, he finally takes a proper look around and spots something he hadn't noticed before. A barrier cloaking the entire Kim residence, faint and shimmering like heat off pavement. It catches him off guard, his eyes narrow as he scans it, trying to find any weak spot, some kind of opening that could be exploited. Meanwhile, Hain reaches the door, humming happily with a smile bright enough to outshine the sun. But just as she's about to step inside, a deep rumble breaks through the air. Jarim's head snaps up. Outside the barrier, he sees it, a gap slicing through the protective layer, a breach forming like a rip in fabric. Inside, chaos strikes as a massive mechanoid descends without warning, snatching Hain mid-step, and leaving the ice cream tragically splattered across the ground. The question hangs in the air, chilling and immediate, did that breach let it in, or was it made for this? And more importantly, what happens to Hain now? Enjoying this story so far? Drop a comment showing your interest in a part 2 and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Until next time, adios.